warning. The death toll is rising. Soon the stench of death will be in the air. We will be treading over dead bodies in the streets. The government will request that everybody wear masks inside their home soon. And the N95 masks just aren't cutting it. We need heavy-duty equipment to battle this virus. Ones like this are satisfactory. They will prevent any airborne pathogens from reaching you. Always spend good money on proper PPE. See, the people that buy into all the fear packets being served by mainstream media are buying masks. They're worried for their life. They don't think they're going to make it another month. They've got everyone panicking and in a state of fear that is completely unnecessary for a virus with a 99% survival rate. Strange times on planet Earth, but today we have a very special guest, somebody that I interviewed over 5 years ago, to be precise, Chris, a medical cannabis patient at Nimbin. He has uncovered corruption in his hometown and will be crossing over to discuss that. But for now, let's check out a preview of a previous interview. We're here with Chris, a medical cannabis patient. He'd like to explain how it's changed his life and why he recommends it to other people.
G'day everyone, my name's Chris. For the past 8 months I've been eating raw cannabis the size of a grain of rice 3 times a day, and it increased my lung capacity by 22%. I can walk again. I don't use puffers anymore. It has changed my life. It's a miracle what it does. It's just amazing herb. It should be a food. Everyone should be able to have this stuff. I've lost over 30 kilos in weight. All the insides of my body are just working and functioning. Everything's picking up. I even feel it increasing the capacity of my brain.
A very powerful testimonial, and you've seen other people that have benefited from the oil?
Yes. Yeah.
And it works drastically in improving their quality of life all round?
Yep. Autism, many things, skin cancers you can take from the root of the plant and put it into beeswax, and it's as simple as that. Just grind it all together, wipe it onto yourself as a cream, and it takes off skin cancer.
Yeah, excellent, and it's life-changing, no doubt.
Oh, it's magic, mate. I've got 2 daughters and I can now go back and live with them and do what I was doing before. It hasn't completely solved my problem, but I can contain my problem. So joining me is Chris, who I had the pleasure of interviewing 5 years ago at the Nimbin Mardi Gras. He gave an excellent breakdown of how cannabis medicine was helping him alleviate a lot of the medical issues he was suffering. Thank you for joining me once again, Chris. How are you managing there today? Good, doing real well.
Yeah. Since we last spoke, you've had quite a few trials and tribulations thrown your way. You've come under police attention, you've been harassed. You've also been publishing a lot of great work in relation to the Geo Engineering that we're all being assaulted by. Talk us through what you've accomplished and some of the hard yards that you've had to overcome, please.
I've been calling a radio station for over 12 years, 5AA. I found it like a rally for me, where I lived in the country and I needed to tell people what I could see, and I could see there was a problem in the sky. So I started ringing a radio station. I'm, tinfoil hat man. I continue to call. I don't really care what people call me. The information that's online in regards to government owning acts in regards to whether modification it's all there. It's all there in plain writing. So it's like the biggest one I find is the 1967 Rainmaking Act of Victoria, which is on the government website. And definition 2 states that they release chemicals from the back of planes.
Absolutely, that's what's going on. Strontium, barium, aluminium, all these flammable particles helped ignite the bushfire crisis, and that's why we had the raging inferno. That was a huge catalyst behind that, wasn't it, Chris?
I've made a couple of videos in regards to that. I also made videos showing how they burnt Queensland using the modification. I've been invited to a couple of places to talk about it as well, in front of about 100 people at a place called Astro, which is an alternative science and investigation mob. They invited me there over 4 years ago to talk. The organisation was split. Half of them understood it and half of them didn't, so they were sort of quarrelling. And a couple of people come onto my wall and sat there for quite a few months and watched what I was doing, and then finally asked me to go and speak to these people. And they all understood the science within about 20 minutes. So it's not hard to actually, when you sit people down to show them, it's just, you know, when you're online or walking down the street, you can't hold a folder of information. But to be able to sit down, I've even got some paperwork from a psychiatrist who I also told, you know, I'm not scared to tell these people what I know. And he went home and looked on the computer, and in one of his statements in a document to me, he says that Mr. Mills speaks of some strange things, and he went home and looked him up online and found that Mr. Mills has every right to talk about them and every right to be concerned about it. So, you know, we're being played. Our own government know and are involved in the weather modification. Malcolm Turnbull in 2014, even earlier, they were handing over money to the Murdochs. One of the Murdoch sons, for the snowy hydro system up there, to making it snow. You know, if they've been able to have an act from 1967, which was done through the CSIRO, what are they able to do now? You know, we have a company here called Australian Rain Technology. We haven't heard of them, and you know, they can make it rain. And why are we in drought? Bomb.gov are also involved in this. They're dealing with the Chinese. Yeah, it's got to stop. It's got to stop.
And you can tell they're not natural cloud formations. When you look up, you see the crisscross pattern. They've also done soil samples. They can tell that this is being engineered. They're trying to play God, and it's having devastating effects on the wildlife. We've lost so many animals because of those bushfires, and you can see they're spraying right over the top. So it's premeditated murder as well, stopping the back burning. And you know, we see the nozzles on the planes. Qantas are flying over, and you can actually look at the flight path, can't you? And that can pinpoint exactly when they're flying over, when they're spraying, so that can give people a strategy. And sometimes you have to lock your windows and doors, don't you, just to, as a precautionary measure.
When I see, living in the country, a lot of the people in the city don't get to see this, but the haze that is in the country is amazing. Like, you can't see through it some days. It scares me. Where I live on the peninsula, I go to a town called Stansbury, and I used to live there. And we used to fish on the jetty, and you can see straight over to Adelaide, and you can see all the lights all the way up. You can't see them anymore. You cannot see the lights of Adelaide. And when you're in Adelaide looking over to the coast, you can't see the other side of the coast anymore. So this haze, there's no manufacturing, you know. People don't even notice the haze. It amazes me that people don't see this haze and think, what is this? Because there's no fires. Yeah. And that's what it looks like. It looks like there's a fire. But when you drive 300 kilometres up into the bush, this stuff shouldn't be there, you know, and you're finding it hard to even see the Flinders Ranges.
Yeah, it's very upsetting and very manipulative as well. They're going back into old historic movies, and they're digitally editing in chemtrails over the top, so people think it's normal to see that in the skies. People are being brainwashed into these thinking patterns that it's okay to see these man-made trails in the air. They try, and some people even say that, oh no, that's just a condensation trail, a contrail, when in fact it's not. People have been blinded by the propaganda, haven't they?
It's even in games, kids' games. The things we're finding now are outrageous. You know, it's the world has gone crazy into a pattern of, I don't know, it seems to be pedophilia driven these days, with the toys. And you know, some lady was showing these little troll dolls the other day, and she put them into cold water and come out, and they had all sexual
clobber on them, you know. Like it's outrageous. But
it certainly is. We're living in the devil's world, and they're ramping up the attacks, the sexualisation of children. It's pure evil what's taking place. The Safe Schools program, teaching children masturbation, and this is a way for pedophiles to get in contact. They're using that as a guise to lure in children. We're seeing that now, and they're even openly campaigning to lower the age of consent. The immorality is at an all-time extreme. It's completely depraved, isn't it?
It is. 2 years ago, I had a friend who I was helping through the family courts, and they sort of had to come back out to where I live now to look after my parents to get old, and she followed me out here, and I think they've targeted me because I look after people within the family courts. I help and listen to people. I've helped people for quite some time, and I don't think they like this. So I've had police come to my house. They've used bogus warrants. I've been assaulted, all for trying to report child sex crimes. So this has been going on. I won't plea in court. I will not plea. I am going through court with the common law. I will not plea. It's been going on for 2 years, and they don't know what to do. And I just keep going in harder and harder each time I go to court with more common knowledge of the common law. We've actually found that, you know, my father, being here, I use him as a witness. And we sat down the other night to do a bit of stuff for the court case, and I showed him the warrant that the police gave us. And he says, "That's not the warrant. That's not the warrant that I've seen on the day." So I've had to get my father to draw the warrant that he's seen, because they've got a warrant that I've got here, only a photo of. I haven't even got a warrant. I've only got a photo of a warrant. And that's signed by the Deputy Commissioner of Police. Now, the Deputy Commissioner of Police can't sign a warrant. So they're basically keeping me in court, knowing that they are doing the wrong thing within the court, and they just keep going. There is no justice left in these courts for any of these women in the family courts, and for anyone that's trying to help them. They just blatantly ignore you. You know, we got to a point where we know they're war criminals. You know, we got documents like this here showing that you know, the police and the courts are all null and void. Yet they still sit there every day and crucify people for nothing. When every day that they go to work, they're actually breaking the law. All of them. The DPP, you know, like I try to tell them in the courtroom that the DPP, what we think of the DPP out here in the community is we call them the Department of Pedophile Protection, and that's it. That's all they do. You know, I've gone back into the police station. There was a young lass here, a single mum who's been hassled by these same cops for 5 years. They've just been told to leave her alone. So they're starting to see, I think there's something going on within the ranks of the police where they're going to start, hopefully, start to push out these people, because us as people being aware that we do have another law for ourselves, which is anchored on the land and not their fiction and bonds, our birth certificate. Like, it's so complex of how they've deceived us. It's so complex of how they do it.
Exactly, and then we have pedophile suppression orders, all the Freemasons right throughout Parliament. It's corrupt to its core, and now they're using COVID positive tests as a way to lure children out of homes. They're abducting children using the coronavirus as a loophole to do so, and especially where you are as well, South Australia, that's notorious for a lot of sex offences and a lot of crimes along those lines. And now that's going to escalate even more.
The only time that I ever voted was this year, or 3 years ago, when Marshall came in and said that he was going to do something with the family courts, him and Rankin. And there's also another child report coming out called the Nylor report,
Yep.
That still hasn't been seen. Labor have not handed it over to the Liberals, and it has not been seen. So we've got another inquiry that is probably going to be suppressed. And we've had enough. We've had enough of these suppression orders because their names are in them.
Yeah.
You know, why would you cover up 700 names for 80 years of pedophiles? And the people of South Australia, we know. We're not stupid. You know, they just because they got bogus newses on. We've lived with this, you know, the family for all my life. I've watched the family getting away with murders, and it's got to stop. You know, we have the people here that know what's going on, and they're all ignored. Everyone is ignored. It's like I said, I could basically go into court and tell the whole court that they have failed in their duty to report child sex crimes.
They certainly
And
have.
that's what I'm going to be doing. I am going to go in there, and they think they're going to take me to trial, but they can't plead for me, you see. And the last time I was in there, I got another 6 months, 4 months more time. I just let them do what they wanted because that's what they do. They do that anyways. But in the end, unless I say that I'm guilty or not guilty, they can't plead for me, which is what they do. So they sort of sit you there and plead for you, and then the next time I want to go back, I say, "Oh, sorry, but you can't plead for me." So I'll leave them in case.
Yeah, see, you deserve a lot of credit for campaigning, pushing forward, trying to hold these sexual deviants accountable for their actions, protect the children at whatever cost. The child trafficking, the child abuse, it's at an all-time extreme. And you see a lot of the social identities, a lot of celebrities, they're pushing for, you know, other causes, but you never see them put hashtag save the children because they're all linked in. And we've seen it through the flight logs. It's happening on an industrial scale, unfortunately, isn't it? Children being abducted, held in dungeons underground, even sold over the internet. We've seen Wayfair scandals as well. You know, there's so many layers to this, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a mind-boggling network of filth. But we know, and they know we know, which is a good thing. You know, if you've watched a couple of Stephen Spears videos, he said at one stage that the police came to see him, and they want to change it. They want to change it for the good, and I agree with them. You know, I fully agree with them. It's time to get rid of the filth within, to make it better for the people. You know, they'll stop finding us. They don't want to do that, so we have to get rid of a few of the ones that are in there, which is what I'm doing right now. I've got 3 corrupt police officers, and I'm going to drill them. I will drill them until I've finished, and that's it. I will go no other way.
A good one, good man. See, it makes it difficult when they're all linked in with these secret societies. They're all covering each other's back, covering up crimes, protecting each other, no matter how despicable it is. Because that's how they are promoted through the police force. Once they reach a certain level of inspector, you know, they're requested. It's a prerequisite. They have to join a lodge, and that's where the corruption just continues.
The community out here, they've been dealing with these people for over a decade, and they've had a gutful. Like the amount of people from the town that come and see me, I film them every time I see them, and you know, the town here are supporting me. They know what I'm going through because they've had to deal with it themselves for the past 10 years. So yeah, I'm going to drill these cops.
You deserve a lot of praise for that. And instead, what you received was targeting, harassment, and violence and abuse from law enforcement. You're even thrown in the back of a bull wagon in front of your children. This is horrific and traumatic. So it's a testament to your bravery and character for continuing to pursue these sexual deviants and these criminal scum. See, that's the problem with society. You expose the scumbaggery and then you get punished for it. It's the same with Facebook as well. You try and report some of these pedophilic pages, but they don't get taken down. But in turn, what happens? They try and take down truth channels. It's a very upside down world we're living in, isn't it?
Yes, but watching this stuff for so long now, you know, 15 years ago when I first started looking in the sky and wondering what's going on up here, to what's happening today and the amount of people that are actually out there. I'm so happy to see so many people standing up now, like people like Karen Brewer. We have to, and now she's a target, but the work that she's done in exposing, to me, is incredible, absolutely incredible. And now we look around the world and we've got people protesting around the world calling out Save the Children, which is, some of us here in Adelaide have been going to child rallies for decades, okay? And I reckon the most I've seen at any one of them was about 300 people, and it just dwindles away. So to see this happening worldwide now is actually, it's an amazing thing, and I really, I'm glad to see where it's become and gotten to, and it's just going to keep going further, because I'm not going to stop, and I will fight courageously for everyone around me.
Good one. We need more people with bravery and courage. And, these horrible people that are committing these atrocious crimes, the child trafficking, the adrenochrome harvesting, you can even link it to the White House with Obama, $65,000 hot dog parties ordered in, and then he gets the Nobel Peace Prize. They get awarded for these horrible, horrible acts they're committing, don't they?
Yeah, no, I can't believe it's. I was watching something last night, and they had people outside of the palace yelling out, "Stop pedophilia, save the children," calling the through the gates of the palace of their pedophiles, which is fantastic. It's about time.
It certainly is. And there was footage released of a child trying to escape Buckingham Palace, climbing down on bed sheets, and he fell to his death. And the media covered that up. That wasn't widely reported the way it should have been.
Never is. Yeah. Mainstream media are our enemy. I think we should focus our attention onto the media. That also, like, from what I've seen these days of people commenting on their pages, I think we should all go there and comment. It will help wake up people that are not understanding properly, because they'll just see all these other comments of people upset and angry. And we are angry. We are sick to death of suppression order cover-ups, and they know. But the good thing about it is they know we know. Yeah. So that's one thing we've got to keep on in our minds now, is that they know we know. And they're scared. I can tell you that now.
Exactly. And we see a lot of the coded imagery. We've seen the symbols that they were using, their logos. That was their calling card. And some of them, they had to change their business signs. They had to change that because it was a direct reference. We've seen a lot of people like Besta Pizza, Comet Ping Pong, places like that. And you can even see it in Disney cartoons as well. They're promoting that. And it's hidden subliminally sometimes.
Yes.
Isn't it? Pizza references,
yes, it is.
All of that.
Yeah, that's just like the trolls that we just see now, these troll dolls that are sexual. Once you put them into cold water, they turn into a sexual object. What's the other one where you push the button? There's a little button on on the doll's bum, and it makes pleasure noises. This has got to stop. And even through our schools, my daughter left school in the first week of high school, and I supported her 100%. She couldn't handle it after the first week of high school. She said, "I've had enough. I don't want to know all this sex stuff." And she was learning it in grade 6 and 7. They were turning chairs up and putting condoms on in the classrooms, like. And this is what was she now? She's 18. So this is like 7-8 years ago already that was happening. And I said to her straight up, "No, 100%, mate. You don't want to go to school. You're not." So they even sent the police around. It's not even their job to do that, but it seems this is nearly 11 years ago as well. And I said, I've been telling them to piss off for a long time. Get away from me, because I know once you learn things, you can never unlearn them.
Exactly. They're corrupting the minds of the young, and they're also teaching children that it's okay to transition at an early age, and their mind isn't even properly developed, and they're being educated on gender reassignment surgery. And what we're seeing now is, once a lot of these people reach adulthood, they regret those decisions. They were brainwashed, they were duped, and then they committed into a life-altering decision, and it wasn't properly thought out. So it's having disastrous consequences on the population. And what we're seeing, a lot of the food products and a lot of the hormones, it's really affecting a lot of people. We're seeing it with the vaccines and the LGBT communities, all of that. It just seems to be out of control, and the sexual immorality is at an all-time high. And the children are the ones that are sadly affected by it. They're confused and in a state of disbelief. And the parents...
this is the vaccine. I think this is part of the vaccine where they're actually putting male DNA into females and female DNA into the boys. So at baby stages. So no wonder why we're getting this. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand things. When people sit there and call you a conspiracy theorist, are you bagging me out because I'm thinking? And that's basically it. Because I'm thinking outside the box. So you get bagged and called names because you're thinking. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. They want you to feel selfish for using critical thinking skills and enjoying your own freedom, utilizing and exercising your right to goods and services. They want people to be slaves to the system. And now under this COVID hoax, what they're doing, it's making it all more working on their side now. They've got the leverage over us. The level 4 restrictions, people can't travel further than a 5-kilometre radius from their homes. They're literally like prisoners. What we're being put under, it's a complete dictatorship, and the future is looking very grim, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, just hopefully more people can wake up to this and get out there and show these people that we control them and they are not to control us as they are. They've changed so much stuff without referendums. They're deceiving the public daily. Our mainstream media are deceiving us every minute. And if you've got fake news and you're watching a politician use fake news for their platform, well, what do it's fake, it's bullshit. And that's all they are doing. They are bullshitting to us daily. Look at ScoMo and Houston and the Hillsong Church. And oh my God, we've got a mayor out here that's got a Pentecostal church in the next town. And I've said to them, you fucking Freemasons, I said to them, and they looked around at each other. You can tell, you just,
exactly. Nice. That's right. They're a very sinister lot, and you can see even ScoMo flew over the head of Hillsong Church over there to a get-together, and even Trump didn't want to have him at the table. So
that's right.
That's our Prime Minister for you. He's flying pedophiles over for special gatherings, and that's who he's introducing world leaders to. There's upstanding figures here in Australia, people that have done courageous work, people that have really achieved a lot of greatness. They should be introduced to world leaders, not pedophile scum from Hillsong Church. This is outrageous. Correct. And now they're just throwing it in our face. It's disgusting. We've seen the Qantas planes as well recently. They got the Freemason compass and set square on top, as well as the Illuminati all-seeing eye. They're just rubbing salt into the wounds at this point. They're throwing it in our face. It's outrageous, and it's very disrespectful, isn't it?
Yep, it is. Look, I talk in my town. I talk to a lot of people. I don't care what people think anymore. You just got to keep thinking. I carry around flags in my car, pamphlets. And anyone that will listen, like me on the radio has been a great help for people to understand what's going on. And I have been to many places where people come up and ask me if I'm that guy on the radio. And so it has worked. It has worked as finding people for an audience to tell what's going on. I've used radio and it's worked.
Excellent. We have to use all resources we can to get the message out to a large audience. We have to be relentless, because that's how the dark side work. They never take a day off. They study exactly what we do, and they're all in secret societies. We don't know as much as what they know about us. So That's how that
We call them
works.
gatekeepers.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
gatekeepers. The gatekeepers.
And they're mining all our information from Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah, monitoring all messages that are coming through, and they know all about timing. Under a certain time and date, it becomes a ritual. And this, what they're doing, people wearing masks over their face, they've been doing that to slaves for many, many decades, hundreds of years. People are masked up, muzzled up, and now they're saying, look the other way when you walk in the streets, because they don't want people communicating, saying, isn't this a giant hoax? They don't want people talking.
That's what it is all about.
Yep. Now we're seeing
And
people
stealing the children at the same time. Now they're stealing the life. I can't believe we haven't had a case in South Australia for quite a while now, and they still want to go in and take people's children. They've been doing it here in South Australia for too long, stealing our children.
Yeah.
No more.
That's right. And it doesn't leave the state of South Australia with a very good reputation when the politicians are destroying it like that. It gets known as a child trafficking state when it has a lot of great attractions, and it's the politicians that are ruining that. The corrupt criminal government, what's taking place, they've done it to Victoria here. It used to be once the greatest place to live. Now it's one of the worst. People are trying to escape, swim across the Murray. They're trying to get out of here, and they can't even do that with the 5-kilometre restrictions. So they're destroying this country. They're selling it out to China, the assets, all the land. We'll be speaking Chinese soon the way it's going, won't we?
Yeah, well, and it's all unconstitutional. Every iota of what they're doing is unconstitutional. We have to, like, if they want to talk about law and put us into courts, then they have to do the same thing. They talk of our constitution, but they never follow it.
These bastards have committed high treason, haven't they? Selling us all.
They've committed high treason. Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Yeah, and a lot of people are outraged and disgusted. The farmers, and now the suicide rate, that's skyrocketing. And how are the lockdowns and the restrictions helping when people are falling into a depression? They're losing their business. All of their livelihood is destroyed. Marriages breaking up. All over a virus that has a 99% survival rate. So the whole thing isn't practical. It's not logical. No. How they're able to get away with this is absolutely criminal.
I can't believe how they've locked down healthy people. You can't lock down healthy people. It's ridiculous.
It sure
is. I don't know what's wrong with people. We really have to get onto mainstream media. I really feel that it's our only hope now. It's getting too late. They're just pushing through things, and people are they don't care about the referendum anymore. It's like they have the news polls. Is that our referendum? And I'll put that on there. Is this our new referendum? Your news poll? Because you got Peter Costello's the CEO of Channel 9. What's going on here? Why are these parasites doing all these different jobs when they're just career politicians? We have to stop this.
We certainly do. We're under attack and enormous amounts of pressure, stress, anguish and worry. The rage is starting to come out in people. Let's hope we have quite a few survivors out of this that manage to break away from the system, manage to possibly move off grid. That looks like the only resort for a lot of people now. Get away from the cities, try and become self-sufficient, because it's going to be a war zone here. Well, look, It's been delightful having you on the program again.
No worries, thank you.
Chris, we'll keep in touch, and any updates with anything that transpires in South Australia, be sure to let me know. Thank you.
No worries, mate. See ya.
Well, that does it for today's show. Be sure to like, share and subscribe. Get the information out to the people. We must spread the message far and wide. Catch me on the next episode of the We Are Change talk show, where we expose corruption, one show at a time.